Yeah. That nickel 9. Yeah. 5-9J. Let me speak my mind up. It's just me keeping it real. Keeping it 100. Let's go. Yeah.
Hey yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed, and like I always say, is one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Well, both these incidences happened in this Valley State Prison, and sorry I didn't drop a video this morning. I'm working on a couple of stuff, re-editing some stuff. I got about 9 videos done for you guys, including more prison videos, prison stabbing, so to speak. So, you know, I was taking my time with them. I'm just editing them, getting my message across, and so be it. So I'm going to put this one together for you real fast, real simple, because it's very small details. Now, like I said, 2 situations happened. One with the Southern faction, one with the Northern faction. Now, when it comes to the Southern faction, this guy right here, life without the possibility of parole for 2 murders. And he's a white boy, but runs Southern California, runs Southsider. And that's a trip I'm going to bring something up in a little bit. So he gets right off the bus. Right off the bus, he hasn't even made it to his cell yet. Or if he did, that's probably the only place he made it was to his cell. And this is a suspect right here, another Southsider from down south who had life without the possibility of parole. So you got 2 lifers banging it out, and just one lost his life in the process. The cool part about this story is, you know, the dude had multiple homicides. He managed to pass his way through to county jail. Obviously, they didn't blast him in county jail. Made it to reception. Nobody decided to touch him. But he shows up to Salinas Valley State Prison on a level 4, and they already had it out for him. So that's the part that sucks. Maybe he got stabbed. I'm just saying, this is a maybe. He was beef on the streets like any other Southside neighborhood. He was a white guy running Southsider, which I feel like when you're not Mexicano or Chicano, being a black or being a white and being a Southerner, there's a lot more that you got to prove when it comes to that. Doing what he got to do, went hard in the paint for his neighborhood and for his homies, and he caught 2 bodies. Caught 2 bodies and got life without the possibility of parole. So let's just be simple-minded for a little bit. Let's just think small, just let's think basic. We got a dude that threw his life away, got the life without the possibility of parole. Even though these new laws make it seem like life ain't really life no more, he still got life. He was still in the streets putting in work. He was still in the streets representing who he wanted to be. A white Southerner. Like I said, in my experience, that's a lot more you got to prove, being that you're white and you're part of a Southern faction. Yeah, they're going to make you prove yourself. For some reason, there's like a distinguishing line like, oh, well, he's not Mexican, bro. He wants to be a Southerner, but you know what I mean? We'll let it go. So he does his thing, gets life, goes to county jail, and he starts programming. Being that he just went through reception and county jail, he's programming as a Southerner when the politics are very, very just out there in the open. If you ain't got nothing, and you ain't got nothing coming. Like I mentioned before, there's been a lot of people that say, you know, going through reception, going through county jail back in the day, the culture was different. Times were different. The carnalismo, the cariño was there. You know, it wasn't just all about politics in your neighborhood. There was more to it. There was a brotherhood. They understood what they were representing and who they were up against. Nowadays, it's barrio versus barrio. Who got the llaves? Who's the meseros? Who's the big homie running the county? What you got coming? What you don't got coming? So he was already embraced by dirty politics, by strong dirty politics. So you know it was already a setup for failure anyways. And so he goes through county jail and then reception to make it to Salinas Valley thinking he's going to program. Now imagine that, getting right off the bus. You just got life, catching 2 bodies. Your mentality thinks a little different. I've always seen it. A lot of lifers usually are humble, are one of the most humblest people you'll ever meet in jail. But when they first get to jail and they caught bodies on the streets, yeah, they going to brag about it. They going to say who their enemies were. They going to say how they knocked them down. They're going to be arrogant for a few years until they realize, like, man, I ain't got nothing else coming, bro. This is it for the rest of my life. Imagine that. He's going to walk into Salinas Valley level 4 thinking he's going to program and be embraced just like any other prison he's been to or county jail. He didn't even last a day. Didn't even last getting off that bus like that. And they took his win for it. Like I said, I don't know the politics behind it. I just know he showed up right off the bus and got blasted. So after that took place, the very next day in the morning yard, Now Salinas Valley is just slammed down for a while on lockdown pending investigation. But a Norteño got removed. And it was a 2-on-1. It was a stabbing. I haven't found out the man's name or information. I'm waiting on it. Somebody will provide me with the name and the placazo and what barrio they're from. But he was labeled as an NGN that came from a non-designated yard. Now, them circumstances could be a lot of things, to be honest with you. First of all, NGN, for those who don't know, is no good Norteño. So, like I said, I explained it a long time ago. I'll do it one more time for this video. You have a bundle about this big with like 10,000 names on it that's called the BNL, Bad News List. Those are dudes that just locked it up. Dudes that just failed the program. Northerners that either were identified as, testifying in court and testifying in on our debriefing and just locked it up. Just regular dudes, regular Northerners. People that are not posed as immediate threats but will be considered an immediate threat if they're the only ones that showed up and they're like, oh, this fool got to go. He's all bad. But you'd be surprised that, those names on those BNLs are the same names walking the streets and still part of their neighborhoods, are still living in their neighborhoods, and they're not really touched as long as they don't present themselves as an immediate threat on the streets. Because they're not that serious. They're just dudes that are viewed as bandidos, deserters, and cowards, right? Then you have a Nana bundle about this big. That's, like I said, another 10,000 names. A separate bundle. These names in the NGN list are not going to be on the BNL list. They keep them separate. These are the names of all the people that were Norteños with status. Now, we're talking about the 80s, 90s, when Nuestra Raza was a big thing. A lot of these names will have C numbers and D numbers and old school numbers, K numbers, numbers from like the 90s. It's going to have their names, and it's going to have Norteños with status that got deemed no good, or any Northerner that got deemed no good, but deemed no good for serious offenses, serious charges, or what they presume to be serious offenses towards the Norteño cause and the household establishment. So those names are going to be all in this one. Then you have the NF bundle that's totally separate. So he's labeled an NGN. That means he was somebody. He was somebody at some point in time. An NSOL that knew too much information. An NSOL that got validated and eventually went to the TACU and debriefed. An NSOL that stabbed a bunch of people on the main lines and made some bad calls so they finally got to him, or he locked it up before they can get to him. Those kind of circumstances. So he got labeled that, and then he came from a non-designated yard. Now, I've been hearing a lot of individuals lately, I can't get their names or their information or who they are, but a lot of individuals lately been getting removed because they land in these non-designated yards. They stay there and program for a little bit, then get transferred to other facilities, and really think it's okay, or that they're going to be okay with it, the household establishment or the program. They'll go to these active yards, be like, yeah, I came from there. I didn't get off, but I came from there. Ain't really nothing there was nothing there that poses a threat, per se. And then get off, and these dudes are getting booked. So he got booked for being on a non-designated yard. Now, Norteño policy used to be you got 72 hours to get off on a bad yard. They give you a grace period to make a weapon, to identify primary targets, because they're not really going to care. But the Norteño program, if you came and you hit a high priority target, oh my God, you're up here, dude. They're going to put you on the shelf, high horse, probably pet the horse. It's probably going to be the Italian stallion horse they're going to sit you on. You'll be praised for that. But if you hit a regular dude, it's like, oh, you got off? All right, cool. It's a trip, the mentality, how the way it works in prison. It just trips me out that this Norteño, if he knew, because, look, think about it, right? If he knew he was an NGN, that's why he was identified, so he was all bad anyways, and then he came from a non-designated yard and literally walked to a Salinas Valley active yard thinking he was going to program. There's a lot of mentalities that think they can slip through the cracks. I seen a lot of new flowers do it when I was on the mainland. They slip through the crack for years before they get identified, and they stir the pot up. They stir ruckus. They blast as many Northerners as they possibly can, take out as much of CLC members as they can, get a lot of people validated, then they leave. That's what the new flowers were doing during my time, during my era. Or he just didn't know he was an NGN, or he was labeled no good, and nobody knew that he was on a non-designated yard and still walked onto an active yard just to get blasted. Those are very dangerous circumstances. And I say dangerous because, I got deemed on my own accord. But I've walked into environments where we were at war, and I had no idea we were at war. My very first prison, we were at war with the whites for whatever happened in Solano and Soledad. Dude, I walked in thinking like, man, this is my new home. This is where I'm gonna be programming. I'm gonna get my packages, get my boneyard visits. I'm gonna get my TV. I thought it was cool until I get that car. Like, hey, bro, we're at war right now. Your neighbors are white. Get them when you get a chance. I was like, oh damn, that just upsetted everything that I ever thought of. So I had to get, prepared for war. So you don't know what environment you're walking in. Both situations. Dude probably knew he was an NG and he probably didn't. Got blasted. But the white Southsider literally was probably going over to the program. Didn't know what he was walking into at all. And I remember talking about it on TikTok, and some people was like, well, it's karma. He took 2 lives on the streets. They took his life in the prison system. Yeah, that's how life works. That's how karma works. Very unfortunate. But it's got to suck knowing that you're going to a facility and you're thinking you're going to program, and you think your homies got your back because of everything you've done in the last 2 previous prisons or previous establishments. And you walk in blind, not even knowing. Now, if you survive it, then yeah, it's going to be a shock. It's going to be a shock mentally. Like, damn, man, what the hell just happened? But this man didn't survive it. This man didn't survive it at all. He walked right into that facility. He walked right into a dude that was ready with a banger and took his win that easy. In a one-on-one, not a 2-on-1, not a 3-on-1. In a one-on-one fight, he was disarmed. He didn't have no weapon because he didn't even see it coming in the first place. Now, it could be any one of you guys that are destined to go to prison one day. Hopefully, I don't want that for you, but, some of these kids, too. You can hurt a lot of people on the streets and think you got away with it. Like, word doesn't get around. End up in county jail. Everything's cool. End up in reception. Everything's cool. And you land in a facility where somebody's brother, uncle, dad is there, or best friend, homie from his neighborhood. And you walk right into that ambush because you didn't even know it. And you could lose your life just like this man lost his life. So I wanted to bring all that information to you guys' attention. Give you guys a little heads up of what I was aware of. I got to get back to doing this content. Sorry I didn't drop a video this morning. I'll drop one for you guys tomorrow. A funny video. So with that being said, like I always say, is one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.